Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing an updated garden tour. It is October. I think the last time I did a garden tour was in July, and a lot of things have changed in the garden since July that I'm so excited to show you. A lot of exciting things have happened. A lot of stuff is still the same too. There's a lot of the same crops that are still growing, but not for long because it is getting colder. Actually, today is pretty chilly. That's why I'm in long sleeves. It's actually like the perfect spooky October day today. It's really gloomy outside. There's just like that chill in the air. Makes you want soup, you know? So our first frost is gonna hit us in about a month and a half at best. So the garden will be changing pretty drastically soon. So I wanted to give you guys an updated tour before everything kind of dies and has to go away. It's always a sad time when that happens. So I'm kind of just still taking everything in, and I come out here every day and I'm just grateful that things are still alive because I'm definitely somebody that gets the winter blues pretty bad just because I really miss the garden during the winter. I still have some things that are growing, and I will do an updated garden tour throughout the winter just so that you guys can see kind of how the garden adapts throughout the entire year. And there's still some things that I grow, like a lot of greens, a lot of lettuces, kale, etc. But a lot of the color is gone. All the flowers and things, they won't be here, unfortunately. This tour won't be as detailed with my layout and things like I did my last tour. So if you want to learn more about like the entire layout of my garden, where my beds came from, things like that, check out my last tour from July. This tour, I'm just gonna kind of be updating you guys on all of the new things and just kind of taking you around and showing you how things are growing now. So without any further ado, let's get to the tour. I'm sure you guys remember the miraculous squash tunnel that back in July, it was just full of green. It was like the best place to hang out. It was absolutely beautiful. I loved my squash tunnel. Unfortunately, it is past its prime now. I have a few of the long beans still kind of hanging on. They're still growing a little bit, so I still get to eat those, which is nice. But as far as all of the squash, it is dead. The vines are dead. See this? Yeah, dead. I do have a few tromboncinos over here that I haven't picked yet just because I'm trying to keep them outside as long as possible so that they can cure, but I mean, the vines are gone, so I probably should just go ahead and pick them. One interesting thing about the squash tunnel though is, if you guys remember, I had a Seminole pumpkin growing up and over. So it did grow up and over, and I think I harvested like 5 pumpkins on the trellis. Then the plant put out another vine that is growing along the ground, and it kind of trailed out of the bed, around the bed, and it's now growing all in my pathways. I can't even walk over here anymore. It's taking over the whole pathway over this way, and it is just churning out pumpkin after pumpkin after pumpkin. It is October 15th right now, I think. I think today is the 15th. Yeah, it's the 15th, and there was just a pumpkin flower open this morning. Obviously, that pumpkin probably won't have enough time to cure, but I might can eat it as a green pumpkin, maybe. But there's still like 7 or 8 pumpkins on there that are turning orange now, so they're getting very close, and I think that they will be able to cure in time. So that would put me at like 13 or 14 pumpkins off of just the one plant. So Seminole pumpkin, that's the variety of the pumpkin. I don't know if I mentioned that or not, but Seminole pumpkin is going to be a pumpkin that I grow every year for the rest of my life. It has been a joy to grow this pumpkin. I love it. I love it so much that I think I'm going to dedicate like a whole video as to why you should grow Seminole pumpkin, especially if you live in the Southeast. On this side of the trellis, we still have a bed full of peppers, and the peppers are still going strong. There's so many peppers that I need to pick and preserve and deal with. I honestly think I went a little too hard on the peppers this year. I might back off a little bit next year. On the other side, things have changed a little bit. I ripped out the tomatoes that were growing here, and I planted some collard greens and some kale and a couple of little cabbages. And I've also planted some peas down here on the trellis to kind of grow up, and I need to remove all of this dead foliage, and I have a lot of dried beans that I need to harvest all of the seeds from. Just a little ASMR moment for you. some of the seeds that I just got. It's like 10 new free plants. That's why I love saving seeds. Who doesn't love free plants? If you guys would like me to make a video on saving seeds, I totally will. Let me know in the comments if that's something you'd like to see. Over in this section, still have lots of things going on. We've got our bed, our little row of peppers over here with lots of marigolds and herbs. The herbs are going to flower, which is totally normal this time of year, and I'm going to be saving seeds from them as well soon. The marigolds are extra happy in the fall. Marigolds in the summer for me, it's like they hate the summer. They never really get going and they're never really that pretty, but as soon as those temperatures start to drop and fall weather starts rolling in, they are like gorgeous and they're everywhere, and it's like my favorite time of year when all of the marigolds are just popping. Still have the midnight cherry tomato over here going strong, and it's also extra happy now that the temperatures have dropped and it's fall and it's kind of putting out a new little flush of cherry tomatoes. Of course, we've got some more peppers. I would say that the garden is mostly peppers right now. As far as like what I'm harvesting, it's definitely like 60% peppers because they're all ripening at this time of year. Something new that I've never grown before that I planted in this bed for the fall is radicchio. So I'm really excited to watch that come in, and it's looking really nice right now, really nice and healthy. I can't wait for that first head of radicchio. I'm super excited. Got, you know, the same chives and strawberry situation. I think in July I had told you guys that I had just started the new strawberry patch over here with the chives, and now the strawberries definitely have multiplied over the past few months. Over in this bed, I've got a lot of fall stuff going on. Actually, probably most of my fall stuff going on over here. I've got some really beautiful Japanese giant red mustard. That's my favorite mustard. We've got rapini broccoli, some cauliflower that's getting eaten alive by a cabbage moth, bok choy, a little patch of carrots, planted a little fall showing of sunflowers, and I'm really excited that they got a chance to bloom before the first frost because I was a little bit skeptical. I planted them really late, but I'm glad that they are blooming and I get to see them because they're really beautiful. The butterfly garden still going pretty strong over here, still one of my favorite places in the garden. It's always full of pollinators. I'm really going to be sad to see all of the Mexican sunflowers go because those are my favorite flowers that I grew this year, and I will forever, forever grow them. They are amazing. So I'll be really sad to see those go, along with a lot of my zinnias. My zinnias are looking really, really pitiful right now. They're just full of powdery mildew, and you can just tell that they're tired and they're ready for a winter rest. Over in this bed, I still have my sweet potatoes. I haven't harvested them yet, but I think that they are pretty much ready to be harvested. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. The foliage is starting to die back, and it's been about 4-ish months since they've been planted, so I'm really excited to harvest those soon. Over in these beds, I still have some of the same stuff growing, lots of peppers. I've got a second flush of tomatoes that I'm hoping will ripen before the first frost, but if they don't, I'm just going to use them as green tomatoes. I really do enjoy fried green tomatoes, and I really enjoy pickling green tomatoes. If you've never pickled green tomatoes before, this is your sign because it's delicious. One more little section to get through before I show you the most exciting stuff. I saved the most exciting for last, so stay with me. If you remember this trellis behind me where my cucumbers and melons were growing, I don't have those anymore. Sadly, there's no more cucumbers, there's no more melons, but I do have peas that I've planted all along the bottom here that are finally starting to flower just now, so we're gonna have some peas soon. Still have my peanuts growing on this one side that I am still waiting so patiently for. I've never been this patient in my life. I'm actually really proud of myself. I've left them totally undisturbed for, I think we're going on 5 months now, 5 or 6 months, I think. And this is my first time growing peanuts, and maybe you guys can help me out with this. I'm very confused because when I look up when I should harvest my peanuts, a lot of people say before the first frost. Some people say after the first frost. And so I'm just confused. I don't know when to harvest them. If you are somebody that grows peanuts, let me know what you do, how you know when you're supposed to harvest peanuts. An interesting little story that kind of just speaks to the resilience of plants is I had a volunteer loofah pop up this year. And it was strange because I didn't grow loofah last year. I grew it the year before. And I do remember leaving one to rot on the ground because it had been eaten by bugs. So I just left it to rot in the garden bed. So the seeds from that loofah must have stayed dormant for 2 years because I didn't have anything pop up last year, but one loofah popped up this year, growing right here along the side, and it kind of went up and over that way. And I have one single loofah that has grown from it because it started so late in the season. It just popped up in like July. And loofahs are pretty late bloomers anyways. So I think I'm gonna get one singular loofah this year, but that's fine. It's whatever. I mean, it was free from nature, a volunteer from nature, so I'm not complaining. I think you guys remember this as my pumpkin patch. Long story short, the pumpkins, they got just devoured by squash vine borer. They didn't make it, but the asparagus started popping up. It's bushing out. It's looking really cool. I actually really like how asparagus looks in the fall. I have this beautiful pineapple sage that's growing beside the greenhouse, and I planted some sunflowers through here as well. Also just planted some strawberry runners around the edges of the asparagus patch because strawberries and asparagus are companion plants. Okay, now for the most exciting update. Some of you might already know this because I did make a YouTube short about it, but I got chickens. I've added a chicken coop and I've had my girls for about a month now and they are everything. I love my chickens. I honestly did not know how much I could love chickens. I knew that I was gonna love having them, but I didn't realize like how much I would love my chickens and just see them as like my pets. Like they are my little babies. Like I love them so much, and I don't know how I haven't had chickens before this. So I got this coop as a kit from Tractor Supply, and so far I'm really pleased with it. It did require some adjustments. Like it came painted, but I had to literally repaint the whole thing because the layer of paint that was on there, it was just kind of like, why did they even bother? You know, it was so thin and there was some things that were already starting to chip. So I had to repaint the whole thing, and I wasn't really expecting to have to do that, but I did it. There were some things that I had to do as far as predator proofing and things like that. If you guys would like a coop tour or anything like that, let me know and I would be happy to make that a separate video. But we added the coop right here beside of the greenhouse, kind of in the corner of our yard. I allowed myself enough room to maneuver all around it. And I also wanted to give my chickens a pretty large section of the yard for them to free range because I would just feel bad keeping them in the coop and run all day. I know that chickens, they're foragers. They really want to get out and forage around. And I didn't really want to let them all around my garden because I didn't want them to destroy my garden because I know that chickens are very notorious for that. So I sectioned them off a pretty large part of the yard. It kind of goes all the way down along the fence. And this part of the yard I didn't really use for gardening that much anyways because it's a pretty shaded spot. So obviously I did not mind giving this space to my chickens because they definitely deserve it. Right now, every time I let them out, they are heavily supervised because they're still tiny little babies, they're still young, and there are hawks that do live in these woods and fly around, so I always make sure that I'm outside in the garden when I let them out. And it's nice because I can be outside doing garden chores or sitting outside with a cup of coffee and just kind of keep an eye on them and just let them do their thing. In this outdoor run area that I created, I also added a 3-bin composting system. I have needed one of these for a very long time. Really the only composting that I did was the really high maintenance worm farms, and that just was a lot of work for me. And this 3-bin composting system is much lower maintenance, and I think it's gonna be my cup of tea. And I put it inside of the outdoor chicken run. That way the chickens can actually kind of like forage in or near the compost if they want. I know a lot of people actually do that, and it kind of works because the chickens love all of the bugs and the worms and things that come out of the compost. They can poop in the compost if they want, just kind of adding more compost into the compost bin. And I added it in the run so that it makes it really easy for me to put all of their poop in the compost because chickens, they poop a lot. And so just having it right there where I can go and clean out their run for the day and just toss it right in the compost, it has been a game changer, and it's really nice to just have it all right here. I think that is it. I think I have thoroughly updated you on all of the new happenings that have been going on in the garden, and I hope that you enjoyed the video. I hope everybody has a great week, and me and Neffy will see you next time.